But we got to kind of, I guess what I'm trying to say is that we need to really be mindful of the Holy Spirit. Be really mindful of what the Spirit of God wants.
Yeah.
And like I say, if He's moving, if folks coming off and singing, just keep on trucking. Keep on singing. And so it'll be all right. So everybody stand. What are we going to sing?
Page 401.
401. I expect to hear everybody from the middle of the way to the church, back. I don't hear y'all singing over the front of the church. I don't see y'all sing really loud. We're going to turn in the Bible tonight, and I'll let you be looking to the book of Job. Book of Job. We had, I think, over 21 children here Sunday. The ones up front, now they was older ones that sick, you know, did come up and sing, but had over 20 children here at church Sunday. Man, you talking about, I told Brother Roger Elmore, he called me, and we were talking the other evening, and he said, praise the Lord. He said they just didn't have that where he's at. Most of the older folks there, and he said, boy, you're blessed, Preacher Big. I said, yeah, I am. And so it's a blessing, just a blessing. These children are in the book of Job, if you want to look. And we know the story of Job, but I was up early this morning reading and thinking about this, and the Lord just kind of gave me a thought or two, and we'll just give you what God's given me tonight, okay? And we know. Well, I'm just going to start reading in verse 1 of chapter 1 because I don't want to leave nothing out. And we may read more than we preach tonight, but I just got some things I want to tell you. It says there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And that man was perfect and upright and one that feared God and eschewed evil. And now, if you had any inkling about the character of Job, any inkling about what kind of man he was, If you wonder, did he serve God? Did he love God? Right here ought to answer your question. It said perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. In other words, he lived for the Lord. That's the way it was. He lived for God. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. That's 10 children. That's a good family. 2 was all I could stand. That's 10 children. I don't know how Don and Nanny, I don't know how in the world they made it with 15. My grandma was 8. There was 10 here. And that's a blessing. No, that was a blessing from God. His substance also, and I want you to pay attention as we read this, what this man was worth here. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camel, 500 yoke of oxen. Now tell me if I'm wrong. A yoke is 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that would be 1,000 oxes, and 500 she asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east. And his sons went and feasted in their houses every one his day, and they sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And so it was that when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. That did Job continually. You know what? This man Job, he didn't just live for himself. He prayed for his family. He sacrificed it. He was concerned for it. He was a real family man. This is the kind of man that when you look out into the community, that you notice. You take notice of this man, this person. He's done well for himself, but not just that. When you see him, he's kind, he's compassionate, he loves the Lord, he loves his family. This is the picture of a Christian man. And it said there, and now there was a day when the sons of God. Now you can look too. If you living for the Lord, you don't think the devil ain't around, because he ain't far off your coattail. He ain't far. He's right there near. There was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth and walking up and down in it. Just kind of an off the cuff answer there. It said, And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hath not thou made a hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. Now, I want you to notice one thing right here. This will bless you. When the devil comes stomping around, it's because the Lord's allowed him to walk through the gate. When the devil gives you trouble, when the devil's giving you a hard time, don't think that, and this is not to hurt you. This in a minute here, you'll see this proves Satan wrong. But when the devil comes around, it's because the Lord's allowed him to come bother you. Don't think that for 1 minute. We get this all mixed up. When we have trouble, we get it all mixed up because we think automatically that Satan somehow is outsmarted or outpowered or snuck around God, and God didn't know it and he snuck in. Don't you ever worry that God ain't watching you. Don't you ever worry that God ain't got his hand on you. And if you're doing right and you're living right and you're trying to do right, and Satan, God's just working to work out in you, and he ain't let you in on yet. He's trying to help you out here. And so Job here, and you can read the whole story, I ain't got time tonight, but at the end of this thing, God blessed him more than he was to start with. But Job here, he was a God-fearing man, and God said, okay. He said, Satan said, take all that stuff you've given away, and he'll curse thee. And that's trying to paint a picture of maybe deceitfulness on Job's part. In other words, painting I don't know how, maybe painting Job as a person that he's not. Let me read on here. And it said that there was, verse 13, a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. There came a messenger unto Job and said the oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabines fell upon them and took them away. Yea, and they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am alone, and escaped alone to tell thee. Now this was money. This was money that his oxen and his asses were taken away, and his servants there. And Job standing there, and out of the blue comes a bad message. Out of the blue comes bad news. I don't know, have you ever kind of felt maybe like Job? You trying to do right and you living right, and out of the blue, here comes bad news. Something kind of just smack you in the face like a wet dish rag. And you know, one thing would be bad enough, but we just get started here. It said, it said, while he was yet speaking, in other words, the one that was there delivering him the message of the bad news was still telling him, and in walks another one. I don't know if you've ever thought about this or not. Job went through some stuff, but he just kept getting worse. It said, while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. There's more money. That's his wealth right there. All these things that he had, it's just gone. It's just gone. While he was yet speaking, while that one was telling him that thing, here walks another messenger. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the Chaldeans made out 3 bands and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edges of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. And while that one was speaking, while he was yet speaking, in verse 18, there came also another and said, thy sons, it's getting worse, and daughters were eating and drinking wine in the eldest brother's house. And there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Now, if you'll notice this, to start with, there was mentioned there the Sabines and the Chaldeans. But you think about the fire out of heaven and the wind here. And automatically, me and you would probably be saying, God, why? What have I done? I can tell you firsthand account. You all know how Melissa was sick and all these things. But Melissa got sick. I was trying to live right. I was trying to do right. I was pastoring a church, doing on my best day, I'm a poor excuse, but doing the best I know how to do. And all of a sudden, they come in, and tell me they're going to take my wife to Winston because she's not doing good, and she's in adult respiratory distress syndrome. And then they get her down there, and they keep telling one bad thing after another. Her kidneys are quick. We're going to put her on ECMO. We're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Have you ever felt like Job? I can tell you, I kind of got an inkling, just a little inkling about that. And then her daddy passed away, or my mom passed away a week later, 2 weeks to the day, and then Grandpa died, and yeah, I kind of get like that once in a while. Have you ever thought about that? I can tell you what I did to start with. I said, God, why? Really, preacher? You're the pastor. Yep, I did. Because, wait a minute, yeah, I felt that I'm human, just like you are. But it don't seem fair, preacher. My wife said, Daddy, I'm sorry about your mama. Her daddy passed away, and I'm sorry about your mama. And I said, well, listen, I'm no better than Job. The Lord hath given me a mom, and he hath taken her away. And it's all in how you look at things. But here, Job had lost wealth and things up to now. Now he's starting to lose family. The knife's going deeper. It said that the wind, the great wind out of the wilderness came and smote the 4 corners of the house and blew it down. I don't know if it was a tornado. I don't know if it's a straight line wind. I don't know what, but God said in His Word that it was a great wind. And then Job arose. And I want you to notice what he did right here. Have you ever kind of felt? You ever been in Job's position? You ever thought, I can't take no more? I don't know if I can take any more. God, I don't know what you're doing. And I'll be honest with you, I got mad at God. I got a little mad at God. I got hurt at God. But you know, when I got down there and I had nowhere else to go, nothing else I could do, and I just looked up and I said, God, I'm sorry. Whatever you decide about my wife, me and you still best friends. And preacher, how'd you do that? Well, I had to get to the place where Job was at. I didn't have nothing else. I wasn't working. She wasn't working. She had to close her daycare, of course. My house was all the way back up here. I didn't have no idea what was going on. I had to just step back and say, God, I had it right here. I said, God, whatever you decide to do with that, I'm going to still serve you. I'm going to still love you. Preacher, that's too hard. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you have to. You have to. There's times you get in your life that you've got to do that. You have to do that. I've got some of it right now. And you know what I'm going to do with it tonight? It's the same thing I'm going to ask you to do it. I'm going to do like Job. I'm going to say, I don't know what you're doing, God. I don't have no idea what you got going on, God. But what here Job said, he rose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down to the ground and worshipped. He didn't worship the things that was gone. He didn't sit around and worship them things. He didn't worship his children. He said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And see, that ain't easy to do. I mean, you think about somebody lost everything Job had right there all together. This wasn't over a period of years. This was in a short period of time right here. And then all the bad news had come, and Job, the first thing he made went through his mind, I'm trying to do right, God, but what's going on? And we'll look here. He lost his wealth, and he lost his family. But here, Satan, on down chapter 2 and verse 4, Satan answered the Lord and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. He had asked permission to touch Job himself. He said, put forth thou thy hand and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse me to thy face. Now I want you to notice something right here. The Lord did not do this right here. He did not. He turned him over to Satan and said, you do. You go ahead and do that. The Lord didn't touch him. The Lord didn't do these things. He said, the Lord said unto Satan, behold, he is in thy hand. Well, preacher, he's Satan. How could it? That was figured. The Lord saying, okay, you know so much about what Job will do. You know so much about how he is. You know so much about his character. He's been with you so many years. You go ahead. You go ahead. You tell me you'll curse me in my face, but you go ahead and touch him and let's see what happens. And the Lord said to Satan, verse 6, behold, he is thine hand, but save his life. He said, don't take his life, kill him. You can do what you want to, but go ahead. But you go ahead. And why did he do that? Why are these little fellas down here at Bremer's Children's Hospital sick? I don't know. Maybe, and I had people ask me this, why is that, preacher, why is that happening? Why is that? Maybe, them little fellas there, I know, that if they get sick and go on to be, the Lord's got them. They're in heaven. You can't, I heard a preacher, an idiot, we want to preach to idiot, say that they go to hell because they weren't saved. That ain't the way it works. Don't you ever let anybody tell you that. These little fellas is innocent. And I've got a grandbaby up there. It never was fully formed, but I've got a grandbaby up there. I'll see it one day. But I'm trust it's with the Lord, and I know he'll take good care of it till I get there. Papa will be there soon. But you think about this. Maybe since these little fellas is innocent, and they got a free ride, we'll say, to heaven, their tickets, already punched out and they're there. Maybe it's to help mom and dad or grandma and grandpa or somebody else see that they need to be saved. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know. But here we go. Why was Job allowed to go through this? Dwayne, his mom just passed away. why was his mom, why did Dwayne and them have to sit there? Not that they had to, they wanted to. They did what anybody, any of us would do. But why did they have to do that? Richard, why did his mom get sick? I mean, you know, you think about all these things. Kay, Bradley's sick. You know, why did they, you know, well, number one, man that's born of a woman is a few days and full of trouble. It's in this same book.
Yeah.
The number two, our life is just a vapor. It appears for a little while and then vanishes away. That's in the book. And number three, that if we're born again and we're saved, washed in the blood of the Lamb, this ain't our home anyway. You ever think about that? You know, and I can't answer why. But I do know one thing. Maybe, just maybe, Job had a neighbor down the road somewhere. This is what I'm happy with here. Maybe Job had a neighbor down here, maybe half mile down the road. I know he had some friends that come because they come see him. And his wife was still with him. And maybe that fellow down there looking, boy, he sure, man, he lost everything. I mean, the Sabies and I mean, all these things happened. The wind blew. All his kids got killed that day. Man, I'm alive. Maybe God's using Job to be a witness to somebody. Maybe God's using Job to be another brother or sister, to be an encouragement or a strength to somebody. You know, Christian life is a sacrificial life. And that's just, you know, that's just how it is. But, so verse 7, let's reread it. I'll be done here in a minute, I promise. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with boils from the sole of his foot to his crown. Now, I don't know if any of y'all ever had a boil. When I was a boy, I had something, and I don't even know what it was now, something wrong with my blood that made me have boils. I got them under my arms. One summer, I walked like this right here, all summer. They did everything they knew to do, and I don't think they did something, and it's done something to my blood, and it made them better. But I can't imagine. My underarms look like red raw meat. That's what they look like. And so one summer, I had to walk around like that. I couldn't go outside. I couldn't get sweaty. It was a miserable time. And you know, if you've ever had a boil, you know what it is. It hurts. Job didn't have one. He had multiple. He had them from the bottom of his foot. And if you think about it now, on the bottom of your feet, you can't even get up and walk nowhere. You know, when you don't feel better, sometimes you can get out and walk and it makes you feel better. You know, he couldn't walk. I'd say it's so bad that he couldn't stand for the sun to shine on him outside. Probably so bad that he couldn't stand for the wind to blow on him. It just hurt. They were just hurt. After all these other things. And he took a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Now, not to mention, and I don't want to gross somebody out. You think about this. I'm just trying to paint a picture of how miserable condition he was in. Not to mention the stench and the flies. And on top of the pain, no sleep, you know, and nobody won't be around him. You know, and nobody won't be Job's friend there, right there. Nobody. He had, you know, he had 3 friends come, but then nobody, you know, won't be around him. He said he sat down among the ashes. Maybe the ashes were kind of soft and cushy. You know, ashes are kind of fluffy. Maybe they cushioned him. I don't know. I don't know what, you know. Maybe they kind of dried him up. I don't know, but he was in a miserable state. On top of all this other stuff. Then said his wife to him, here we go, fellas. She just, you know, bless her heart, I don't know, her grief, I'm sure, was heavy because of the children. Now her husband, she's thinking, I lost everything I had, and my kids, and now him, he's going to die. Surely, he's going to die. And she was probably just done with putting up with it. I mean, she just probably had enough. She said unto him, his wife said unto him, dost thou still retain thine integrity? She said, I don't understand you, Job. I'm looking at you after all we went through, and you're still, your integrity's still there. Curse God and die. She's saying you just be better off dead. That's pretty bad when your wife says you just need to die. Well, there's nothing for you to live for. Here's that little word, but. I like this word, but. You know, there's a lot of times Satan intends something to go wrong, but God decides different. Satan sets you up for a fall, but God, comes in. You look like you're going under, but God comes at the nick of time. I like that, but God. I like that, that but thing. Sometimes your friends look around at you, man, he's been went through so much stuff, he's going to quit. There ain't no way. I figured he would quit church but he's still going. I figured that they'd give up. The Satan's come and told you in your ear, they ain't no use to try, but you still here tonight. They ain't no use to go. Ain't no use to waste your time out there at church. Them prayers you've been praying ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. The more you pray, the worse that thing gets. The more you pray, the worse your family gets. The more you pray, the worse your job gets. The more you pray, the worse your situation at home gets. The more you pray, the worse it gets. But don't get all bent out of shape. God's fixing to show up and show off for you. I'm going to tell you a little something. And we've been praying, I think I may have told, I don't know, we've been praying about a car, back then. And I try to pray about things. Not a new car, just a little newer car, a little better car. And I've been praying, I just kept praying, just out of the blue. When Melissa's driving now, I just pulled up to work one day. Needed work, needed some service, needed some tires. And just out of the blue, my boss said, I'll just buy that. If you'll sell it, he said, I'll just sell it. Golly, must be nice to be able to do that. And he says, out of the blue, just park that around back. Don't show it nobody. Greg may want that. I want it. Really? And all of a sudden, this kind of surprises you. It shouldn't surprise you. It shouldn't. So I go talk to the man. And I said, Lord, if it's your will, just let it work out. I'm not going to go out of my way to try to make it happen. You do it, God. You do it. I come back over there to walk in the building. As I'm walking back to the computer to punch back in, my phone rings. Yeah, this is Nick. So I'm going to be over there while I've got everything worked out. I'll bring a check over there for him for the car, and I'll bring the old papers over there signed so you won't even have to leave work again. I said, really? Ain't that so? That surprises me. And all of a sudden it hit me. Why should it surprise me? Because God. I said, Melissa, I don't know how we're going to find nothing. But God done had one worked out. There's that but word. And it's like that with God. He shows up, and we shouldn't be surprised. But we are sometimes. But let me get back on this right here. It said, Job said, but he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we not receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? And all this did not Job sin with his lips. Job had something to say right there. And I just read to you what it said, and I'm thinking in his mind, as he's going through this, God's been too good for me to quit now. God's been too good to me for me to throw in the towel now. God's answered too many prayers for me. Matter of fact, all that got gone, God give me that. It was His anyway. And I got to study about that. I don't know if you've ever maybe felt a little bit like Job. I have before. I have this week some. Felt a little bit like Job. Just a little bit. But when the devil comes by, and today it's been one more day. I mean, it didn't matter what. I had to get the guys from Hunter to come about the alignment machine and line up. Cars won't be lined out this part, we call it, and it's just an awful day. I'm gonna pull my hair out. Boss said, "Let me get this, let me get that." We will. Hold on. And this one thing right after another, and the devil said, "I just called somebody. I said, we need to go to church tonight." I said, "You know what? On top of everything else, it's on my brain." I said, "You know what? That might be what some people would say, but God's been way too good to me." And I just kind of I looked at him, I said, you talk like somebody foolish, Satan. I mean, you just talk like somebody foolish. I mean, really. They don't want us sitting here tonight. That I don't know what you're going through, and you probably got some, to talk what's happened to me this week. But whatever case may be, I'm sure the devil would have you to stay at home tonight and just wallow around in the ashes a little bit, scraped a little bit, moaned and groaned a little bit, but I'm telling you, come on to church. And because God's been way too good to me and you for us to kick in, throw in the towel. God's been way too good to us. I mean, God's answered way too many prayers for me. I could go back and tell you about some things in my life that as a boy, I come close to leaving here a few times as a boy. I mean, some things that God's come by and just said, no. And I'm not talking about just that COVID a while back. That was bad enough. Yeah, that's close then. That's close call. But God, He showed up again, but God stepped in and said, not today. Not today. He got to stay around a little bit. And I watched the video the other day when I came home from the hospital. You know how the memories come up on your phone? Y'all know how to. I finally figured out how to watch them things. I learned the button. Mayla showed me what it was. She'd show you. But I watched that video where I come home, I couldn't hardly talk. I looked rough. I swelled, here and there, because I took all them steroids and all them things. And I looked rough. I mean, rougher than I usually do. And I said, boy, that's close. I sent Nathan the picture. He said, yeah, that's bad enough, brother. You're close. Look how God's, he said, look how God's helped you and how good you look now. You look so much better now. And I said, yeah, but God. I want to tell you a little something about that but God thing up there. When God decides to step in and change the course of things, ain't no stopping somebody that can't be stopped.
Yeah.
Now you think about that. Ain't no stopping something that can't be stopped. But let's do one that ain't no stopping somebody that can't be stopped. When Melissa was so bad, and I've told this here, I don't know if this kind of goes to this tonight. I would stand up here in her bed, and I knew God was there. I mean, she was swelled. She was swelled so bad fluid was coming through her skin, leaking out of her skin. And I'd go down to the foot of the bed, and I got this uneasy, eerie, evil feeling. I mean, it's just like, and it wasn't, she looked bad from any angle. I mean, she looked this bad. Her head was swelled up. She had a big tube right here of blood coming out. And one here, going in the growing area, there was running blood through an ECMO machine, oxygenating the blood, and it didn't look good no way it looked. But I'd go down there, and man, it was just, I don't know, I just get steady. And I'd go back up to the head of the bed, and it's just kind of peaceful. Can you explain that? Well, not really, but I don't know what the death angel was not there wanting to take her, And the Lord said, not yet, just wait a minute. I don't know how you look at things. And by all accounts, they said, we're going to give her about 25% if we do this procedure, ECMO, and if not, 0. I said, okay. So I signed up, I signed everything. And he said, now you're going to be here a while. I said, he said, no, I mean a month or more. I said, I'll be right here. Y'all need me, you know where to find me. I ain't here, I'll be getting me a cup of coffee. I'll be right here. So I stayed at that hospital 66 days. 66 days. Lived in the motel, stayed in the hospital. Go to the motel, stay in the hospital. And they just wasn't giving her a lot of a chance to start with. But God showed up. And see, that's how it is. He's been too good to us. All them buts, all them times he come in with the buts. He's been too good to me. Now, we also had a little run-in with what do you call him, kidney doctor, nephrologist? Is that what you call it, kidney doctor? Yeah, I remember some of that stuff. And he was from a foreign country, he did not talk plain. And so I said, okay. I couldn't understand what he said. He said, you will be a prime candidate for a kidney transplant. I said, well, we'll just pray about it and we'll see how that goes. He said, no, you do not understand. She has Wegener syndrome. Her kidneys will never work again. I said, well, you don't understand. We're going to pray. Don't fill out the paperwork yet. We're going to pray. Well, you'll see. I said, okay. Well, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, dialysis day. Tuesday come by, numbers look pretty good. We may not do dialysis tomorrow. We may hold off till Friday. Come in and he said, the numbers look good. We may wait till Monday to do dialysis. And I said, really? And I don't knock him for his knowledge. He's smart. But he didn't know God. And God said, he said, her kidneys will never function again. But God decided different. Her kidneys are in better shape now than mine are. I can tell you that. Man. And see, that's the way it is. So when I say, but he said unto her, Job said, there's been all these but times. Don't you remember this word, but? all these times that God said but, and changed the course of things for me and for you, when Satan says that, you know, won't you quit, won't you give up? You say, but God's been too good to me. You know, your kids is, you tell them something else, but, you know, your moms and dads tearing up, but I want you to think about that. Tomorrow, when you have an issue come up, just say, but. Your boss man say, what you calling me? What are you saying? Just say, but. I'm just thanking the Lord, but God's good. But God's good. And see, and the reason is, little things like this help me. They may not you, but they do me. I'll remember this tomorrow. When I go to work on that hateful old machine and it does something again. It's got a mind of its own sometimes. And I'll get aggravated and I'll pick that wrench up and I'll, but God is good.
Amen.
Just lay it down.
Amen.
Yeah.
Just lay it down. You know how it is when you get ready to slam that door because you're mad. But God is too good. I think about all them times God stepped in and said, but I'm going a different direction. I know what it looks like, but not today. You know, and when I read about Job, I know I didn't go through anything near what Job did. But I can kind of get a little bit of something. Oh, Charlie and Diane back there, they spent a day or two in the hospital. Diane did. Charlie stayed there one time he could. And, you know, the doctors told Diane, told Charlie, it ain't looking good. But God just decided to do different. He just decided to show up and say, not today. Not today. If you've ever been on the receiving end of one of God's buts, you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to leave that with you tonight. I hope it's a blessing to you. I hope it's been a blessing to you. Now tomorrow when you pray about these things, and you see tomorrow that your prayer still is like it was. You know, everything ain't nothing changed. You just keep remembering. When the devil says, God ain't, you just remember. But God said, if we pray, He would hear and answer our prayers. As long as we don't regard iniquity in our heart, God will hear our prayer. That's a kind of a little something simple tonight, but I just wanted to give it to you because I got up this morning thinking about a few things, and the devil, he's just right there already. Get to work, it starts out pretty good, and then it goes downhill from there. You know, all of a sudden, you know how it is. People waiting 2 hours on a car, and they're like, you know, looking like in a nursery to hospital. You doing it? Is he fixing his wheels back on yet? And I'm getting more antsy, and I won't get people in that, but I'm getting aggravated because things ain't working out. And I got my truck, and I just said, Lord, help me. And I went to McDonald's, got me a sweet tea, and I was good to go. And I was okay then. I thought about how good God is. And all them times that I've been on the receiving end of the blood. And the devil says, won't you pitch your fit and throw stuff? And I know, but God's been too good to me to do that. So that's kind of where I was at today. I hope you had a better day. I hope you didn't slam your finger in a car door or nothing like that. But if you do, just holler to the top of your lungs, but God is good. I guarantee you it'll be unique. And somebody sees you do it, you'll be a witness. You'll be a witness to them. So, anybody got anything you'd like to say? Okay.
God is so good, brother.
Amen. Amen.
Every day.
He is.
Yes, He is.
I don't know a bad thing about it.
Me either.
The only thing I could even remotely think is that being related to me. He's my father, and I'm the one that's no good. It's him. He's always been good. He's been way better than me than I deserve. He's given me so many buts along the way. There's been members of my family that said how he won't amount to nothing. He's gonna try to preach it. Well, see how long that lasts. Well, I've been here about 16 years or something like that. I know I've been doing 24, 25 years. I ain't never done nothing that long. I mean, the only thing else close to that, I lived in that same house that long. It's just God.
Yeah.
When God gets hold of it, but don't God make a difference?
Yeah.
The pool of Bethesda, when the Lord sent the angel by and troubled the waters, and that one guy said, I can't. But Jesus come down there and said, would you like to be made whole? Oh, don't he make a difference when he comes by? Ain't that good? All right, folks. Anybody else? Stand up on them 2 feet that God gave you. Oh, it hurts after sitting there a while, don't it? But ain't it good you still got the strength to stand? You know? I got out of the truck and started in here and I'm like, oh, Lord. So I said, you doing all right? I said, I'm doing good, doing good. I wasn't going to let the devil say I hurt. Ain't nobody. Thank you for coming out tonight. And when you go home, pray for me, pray for the church, and be praying about revival. Now we got it on the ball's rolling, so I'm gonna be doing some calling as the Lord leads, and He'll lead me about calling. And trust me, I promise you, I'll follow the Lord and who we call. Don't expect to see Robert Schuler here or Ernest Ainsley because probably not gonna call them, but we'll be calling somebody. No, we'll be calling who the Lord says. Love you, church. I do. It's good to see you. Y'all help me on Wednesday night. You might think I help, but y'all help me on Wednesday nights. You really do when I get to come see you. Brother Richard, will you dismiss us?
God, we come to you in Jesus' name, Lord. We want to thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you, Father, for allowing us to come out and to worship you and to hear your word preached to us. And just the truth, Father, that we hear every time, Father, we come to your house, God, and the words are preached and taught. And I pray, God, that you be with each one, Father. Each one that takes part in church, Father, each one that has a role here, Father, our teachers, and just each one. I ask you, Father, to bless them in doing so, and ask you to be with each one as we go our way tonight, Father. Give us rest tonight, and just a good day tomorrow. I pray that you'd see us back at the next appointed time. Hear our prayer request this evening, I pray. In Jesus' name, amen.